Hey guys, my name is Alan and welcome to a video about OBS. Today we are going to tackle about most of the settings in OBS, how you can set up your scenes, your sources. I'll give you some idea and even on how you can set up your audio tracks. Now, this is made for all the people who want to start making content using OBS, maybe for recording YouTube contents or other contents and for streaming. So if you're already a professional OBS user, then I don't think you would need this video, but you may get some tips and tricks from it or some new knowledge from this video. But hey, I'll hop onto my desktop and get your popcorns ready because it's quite a long video. All right, let's start. All right, so OBS is now installed, and one of the first things that I want you to do is go right click it, go to open file location, right click obs64.exe, go to properties, and then go to compatibility, and then go and tick this box right here that says run this program as an administrator. What this do is it gives OBS the best possible resources that it can get from your computer to actually properly run the stream without getting some hiccups. Now, we run OBS. Press yes, and we are good. Now, a few things here. We're going to start off with the settings, but actually when you first start OBS, you're going to be seeing this window, which is the auto config wizard, but we're not going to do any of that. What we're going to do here is fiddle around with the settings first, and we're not going to do any automatic things. I'm going to teach you how to properly set it up. Now, the general tab right here is very self-explanatory. One of the things that I would tell you though would be turning off the system tray. This part right here is a system tray, and this part right here is a taskbar. And then scrolling down here, we have the transition to scene and double click only if you use the studio mode in OBS, but if you don't, then don't even bother with that. One more thing, source alignment kind of helps, so make sure that is enabled. And for the outputs right here, I would recommend automatically recording when streaming, only if your computer can handle. By the way, my system specs again will be on the description below or the comment section, depends. And then keep recording when stream stops. Sometimes you have that, those clips that you could have gotten in stream, but you have ended the stream. So sometimes I have, I like to turn this on. And one more thing, automatically start replay buffer when streaming and keep replay buffer active when stream stops. I always have those checked, but right now you cannot check any of those, and I'm gonna show you how to check those in a few moments. On streaming tab right here, it's very self-explanatory. You pick whatever service you're gonna use, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Trovo, whatever. You can use connect account or use stream key. Now if you're gonna use stream key, usually it has this thing wherein you go into its site, whichever site you're gonna choose, of course, and then it's gonna take the stream key from there, and then you're gonna paste it here. Now on some platforms like Twitch, if I can find Twitch, you have this Ustream key, and then you can click the get stream key, and it'll put you on the website, but we're not going to do any of that right now. And then just paste it here. But again, if I were the one setting this up for myself, I would just use the connect account. Now for the output tab, we're not going to go simple, we're going to go advanced. What I want you to do is pay attention to the audio tracks first. Audio tracks 1 2 3 4 5 6, you have 6 on OBS, and I'm going to show you that in the audio scene sources later on while we are setting those up. But I want you to think of what number of track would you want to be sending on Twitch. In my case, I would want it to be 6, and for my Twitch VOD track, this is the one that after you stream or when somebody clips, these are all, let's just say, the group of audio that would be sent towards the VOD. Again, it's either a clip or your video that is the full stream and then it's ended. Hopefully that you get that. Anyway, we're gonna put that on 5. That's where I like it. Now for the encoder, there are a lot of different encoders. We have QSync, we have AMD encoder, we have this one X264, which is from your CPU, and then we have this one, which is what I have because I'm using an RTX 2060. We have the NVIDIA NVENC, only available for NVIDIA graphics cards. I'm gonna use this one because an NVIDIA graphics card have like a chip that is solely made just to properly power the encoder, which means it doesn't really use any of your graphics card power, just a small tiny bit of it. And yeah, it's much more efficient that way, especially if you're using a single PC setup. We move to rate control. Don't even bother with CQP, VBR, and lossless. Lossless, we only use this for recording, not for streaming. So for this streaming tab, I'm just going to use CBR, and then I'm going to set it to 6000. Now, if you're only using a 720p or a 900p, you can go with 3000 to 4000 bitrate. It doesn't really matter, but 6000 is usually the default for 1080p. Now, never use the rescale output in this one. Use the one on the video tab, and I'm going to show you that later on. Now, for the keyframe interval, we're just going to select 2 because that's kind of the default. And yeah, preset quality, max quality, performance, low latency. Low latency, it's very self-explanatory. The thing here is I would prefer low latency quality because low latency quality gives you the best, fastest go through on your stream. Anyway, for the profile, stick with high. I won't discuss the main baseline in this one, but just stick to high. Every modern PC can handle this. Every modern cell phones can watch a stream that is running on profile high, and it is much more efficient. Again, I'm using an NVIDIA graphics card, so I have these settings. AMD X264 and Intel QuickSync may have a totally different tab right here, but usually most of the general settings here should stay the same. Now, this too, I'm pretty sure is only available on NVIDIA or NVENC encoder. So I'm just going to turn them off, and you don't want that. You want to give headroom to OBS for it to encode properly, and you want to give headroom to your games for them to also run properly. You don't need this. Trust me, you don't. Unless you have like a 3090, 3080 Ti, is that even a thing, or Super? Then you can use this, but just trust me, you don't. And I'm just gonna press apply and go back up here. Now we are on the recording section. This is pretty standard, no pun intended, but recording path. You just click browse, and then you browse wherever you want the file or the video file to be at. And now on the recording format. Now we have MKV and a lot of the stuff here. I usually just bother with MKV and MP4. I used to do MKV, especially when my PC is not that stable, so that I can recover the files. If you are using MKV, you would need to remux it after your recording or your stream. So I don't like using it anymore since my PC got a little tad bit more stable. Knock on wood, hopefully it doesn't crash. So I usually stick with MP4 now. Now using these other, some of the recording formats here, you probably don't even know. And some of the recording formats here doesn't allow for multi-track recording. Now, I myself love to fiddle around with this multi-track recording because I can have multiple audio sources. Let's just say my desktop audio, my microphone audio, and then music audio, and then another source audio. Anyway, for my recording, I usually like to set it to all of it. Again, the 5 and 6 tracks that we have here on the streaming tab, this 2 is also going to be on the recordings, and that's just it. Now for the 1 2 3 4, you're going to see how I set those up in a bit, but yeah, we're going to move on to the encoder. You can use the stream encoder, like the same exact settings one, but me myself, I usually have a higher quality for my recording, so I do NVIDIA NVENC still, but I go into either lossless, especially if I'm recording something that is like this, a desktop, just a desktop with no games for tutorial videos. I go lossless. That's the best quality you can ever get. But for CBR, I usually just go for 10,000 to 15,000. So let's just do 15,000 for this one. Keyframe interval, set that to 2. Now preset, it's the same thing, but for this one I usually go for quality instead of low latency quality because it is not being sent through Twitch or being sent through the live stream or whatever. It is just a recording, so it doesn't really matter how long it kind of takes to, you know, be saved into my computer. Again, I'm just gonna turn this off because I don't need those. By the way, every single segment here, you just want to press apply just to make sure that you didn't actually just discard all the settings that you've made or the changes that you've made. So we're good with that. Now on audio tab, this is what I like about OBS. You can rename the tracks, so whenever you put them in maybe Premiere Pro or Sony Vegas, you know which track is which. Now, how would I usually set this up? I do mic for number 1. We do desktop audio. Let's just don't even bother with that caps lock thingy right there. Anyway, the alerts, and then extra audio, and then for the track 5, again, this is the VOD Twitch because I stream on Twitch. By the way, twitch.tv/AlanAvila_. And then here we have, let's just say all tracks, and then just press apply. We're good. Now that should reflect on the file itself being sent, whatever. It's just kind of a label thing. Now again, if you guys remember on the general tab right here, we cannot actually enable the automatically start replay buffer and keep replay buffer. You would have to set this up first, which is right here. Replay buffer, we have to enable it, and now you can have your maximum replay time. But Alan, what is a replay buffer? Let's say you got an ace clutch on CSGO or something. Now that took maybe, I don't know, 45 seconds, or maybe let's just say 35 seconds. And now you hit a button on your keyboard. And what it does is it takes that last 35 seconds before you hit that key and it saves it as an entirely different file. This is useful if you like doing TikTok videos, quick videos for Instagram, you just want to share it quickly, story, my days, a tweet. This is very useful. I use it most of the time for most of my clips in, you know, the videos that I pump out. Anyway, now going to audio tab right here. Very self-explanatory. What I'm going to do here is select, for the desktop audio, I'm going to select my earphones, but usually I have it set to my HyperX. You get the idea. For the desktop audio, you use whichever device you're using to actually hear the things that are happening in your computer. Now, mic auxiliary audio. You just pick your microphone. For me, it's the Scenic 802. It's a mixer, not a microphone, I know, but you know, it is what it is. My pod mic is plugged into my mixer, so my mixer sends out the signal to my PC. So I'm gonna pick it. You get the idea. Now we're good. We're done. We press apply. You don't have to bother with any of these. We're chill. Now, video tab. Again, on the output tab right here, rescale output. We don't want that to be done by a graphics card. We just want it to be done by OBS. So we go in the video tab. If you want your, by the way, base canvas, this is your monitor resolution. Always use your monitor resolution. Don't change your base canvas, but your output scale you can change. If you want 900p, you can do it. You can do 1600 by 900. This is 900p. Make sure that your aspect ratio is the same as your base canvas, by the way, so you don't mess things up. Now, if you want to do 720p, you can do 1280 by 720. But if you want to stream the same quality or the same resolution as your base canvas, then you can just copy and paste that 1080p 920 by 1080. Now, for the downscale filter, you're not gonna notice much of this, but if you do 36 samples, this is the best you can possibly do, and it gives just a little bit more sharpness whenever you're actually zooming in to your game or your clip or your recording or stream. Nobody does that though, so just keep it on 16 samples. By the way, bilinear works fine, especially if you have a low-end PC. That works. Common FPS values, I just do 60. Very self-explanatory as well. If you want to do 30, then be my guest, it doesn't hit much of your system as, you know, the 60 does or 60 FPS does. Idea here, if I have the not so great PC, what I would do is probably stream at 1280 by 720p or a 16 or a 900p, I mean, and then have 60 FPS. Why? Because nobody really bothers with 720p or 1080p, but a lot of people tend to put in chat like, why is this stream not so smooth? That's the difference between 30 and 60 FPS on stream. But yeah, that's just me. That's just my perspective, and I'm just giving you guys some idea. Now let's press apply. Hotkeys, this cannot really teach you which keybinds to use. Now, as you can see, there's not much in here, but the more that you add on your sources and scenes, the more hotkey stuff is gonna appear here. Like there's filters, so don't forget to use that. All right, so now we are on advanced process priority. Just please set this to high. Let's just say your computer power is a food, and then your game is a person, and then your OBS is also another person. Now, what is happening with the other streamers that I've seen or that I have watched is that their process priority is usually below normal, idle, or normal, and they don't set it to high. So what happens is that the game eats all the power of the computer, and then there's nothing left for OBS. So on their perspective, the game is running smooth, right? But on OBS, what's happening is that since the encoder is overloaded by the game and the other stuff that is happening on OBS, OBS is starting to pump out some very dropped frames games, which makes it not really that good for the viewer that is watching the stream, because it looks kind of not professional and it kind of looks bad. Anyway, moving on, recording, you can automatically remux again if you are using MKV on the output recording. Only if you're using MKV, you should check this. But if you're using MP4, then you don't have to do that. Now, on stream delay, this is useful if you are playing competitive games and you don't want any stream snipers. You can do that, but your chat, you know, would be kind of sad because they don't interact in real time. On automatically reconnect, when you have bad internet, I would suggest doing this thing. Just do maximum retries of that and then 12 on the retry delay. Make sure that is enabled, and hopefully you can catch the stream while it is still there instead of doing a relive, especially again if you have a bad internet. internet. Now for the network, this one I cannot really give you much of an idea. I usually just turn this off. I used to have one of these turned on, especially the enable, actually two of them, the network optimization and enable TCP pacing, but I turned them off because what's happening is that when I have them on, OBS isn't sending out the amount of bitrate that I set. I don't know if that's a bug of some sort or is it because of my ISP, but my stream runs better, especially connection wise, when all of these are turned off. But you can, fiddle around with it, check if it'll work better for you. But for me, I just turn all of them off. Now, sources, enable browser source hardware acceleration. What I want you to do here is just leave it on. Unless you have a bad graphics card, turn it off. All right, so now we are done with the settings. Now we can fiddle around with the scenes and sources. Now this one, it is of course all up to you on what you do on your scenes and sources, but I'll just give you an idea. You can do grid mode, but nobody really does that, so we just do list, and you can just do dashes for separating some stuff. Like let's say this is cam 1, those are all the stuff that I need. And then on my game scene, what I would do is press it. On sources, we do add. And as you can see, there are a lot of different sources in this one. Let me just zoom in. As you can see, what we have here is we have an audio input, output, browser. So I'm going to tell you guys what each one of these does, all right? So the audio input capture, it is your microphone. It is the same as your mic aux. Now, the audio output capture is the desktop audio that you have set. Now, why do we have these? Especially if you have a lot of many different stuff that you do on your OBS, what you can do is you can just set the audio, especially if you have a podcast scene wherein it's only you and another person, and then you can set 2 mics just for that scene, like they only pop up on those scenes. Now if you use this one, these are general, it'll all pop up on all of the stuff. Now if let's just say here I'm gonna add an audio input device, then I'm gonna pick another microphone, it's gonna pop up here, but if I go into a different scene, it's not gonna be there. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Now going back to the sources that we can add, we have browser source is one of the most powerful thing in OBS. There's a lot that you can do, and this is the one that you use for adding the alerts. Color source, you get the idea. It's literally just a blank color of some sort. But yeah, now if we do add again, we have display capture. Display capture is what what I'm using right now. Game capture, you need the game to be running before you can add the game capture. Now for the image, self-explanatory, image slideshow, you select multiple images and it kind of cycles through that with whatever time you have set before switching. Media source are for audio, videos. Scene is that you can add another scene. So let's say I can add let's just say my camera is on camera 1 and I can add cam 1 here, and then my camera would pop up. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Now text, very self-explanatory. You add that, you make a text ASD. Video capture device is for cameras, and maybe if you're doing a dual PC setup, which I kind of doubt, you just run through this and then you pick whichever one you're gonna be using. But you can also group, and yeah. Now we can move into the audio mixer tab where things usually get messy. So we got the advanced audio properties by right-clicking it, and right here. So the volume, usually this is unchecked if you want to be fiddling around with decibels, but not me. I just want to see the percentage or the volume, certain source right here. So what I'm gonna do is just press check, and then the percent, it'll be in percent. Now we have mono right here. It makes the stereo track a mono. A balance goes left and right. Audio monitoring, right now I'm using my earphones, so I can actually monitor my audio by clicking this and then go to monitor only. Mute output, there you go, this one. I can hear myself now. It is echoing. But yeah, now this is where it usually gets messy. Again, the track part. Remember this thing right here, the advanced, we can go, as you can see right here, there's the stream tab, the 5, 6, and for the recording, I have all of them on. So what I usually do here, just to give you an idea, is I would and check all of it, because why not, except for 6, because on 6 I want all my audio on 6, right? Now 1, 2, 1 is usually my microphone. Desktop audio usually is on 2. This both are going to be on my VOD, of course, so they're going to be both be on 5, and then on 6, that's all the audio. Now let's just say the audio input capture is a music, and I don't want music on my VOD. I'm not gonna add it on number 5 because this 5 is gonna be sent through my VOD. There's gonna be no music because I don't have it on 5. But on my stream live, they can hear it because it is on 6. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. Now we can just close this out, and some stuff that I can show you here is that if you are fiddling around with certain things, maybe I want this to be specific on this side right here. What you can do is you can actually resize this real quick. You can go to previous scaling, canvas, hold spacebar, and you can actually manually resize. And then while holding spacebar, you can move, and then you can properly, let's just say I want to properly crop this and this on top. And yeah, it just kind of works just like that. But I'm not done yet. I know this is a very long video. I am really sorry, but these are all the things you would actually want to kind of know. So I'm gonna go into my actual OBS that I use on stream, and you're gonna see how I set things up. So this is my OBS. Like, I have everything set in here, right? Now, few things. These are my scenes and these are my sources. What you can see is I have a lot of sources here. I have a game capture, Windows capture, and display capture right here. You get the idea. Now the cam frame, by the way, you can group stuff by just triggering all of them, right click and then group selected items. So on my cam and frame, I have my face cam border, my mouse cam, which I don't usually use now, and my scene cam. This is kind of just how my stuffs are working. I have my just chatting stream, and then my display, and then of course on the chatting stream there's more on the audio mixer, but I would like to show you my audio mixer because again, that's very messy, but this should give you enough idea of what you can do with it. Again, on 6, let me show everything here, not just that source. I know I have a lot, but I'm gonna zoom in right here. What we have here is on 6, basically everything. On how do I show this to you guys? There you go, full. On 6 I have basically everything. On 5 I have basically almost everything as well, except for the stuff that I don't want to hear on my VODs. Now my 4 are the extra audios, alerts I think as well, and number 3 is the same thing. My 1 and 2 is again the microphone audio, and I know you see a lot of stuff here, but it's not the best audio tracking, but it does the job for what I want. But yeah, that's about it. And I guess this is the end of this video, but now you're probably asking, hey Alan, what about the stinger transitions? What about the zoom? What about this effect? How can I make my mic sound better in OBS and in my live streams? Well, I think those video deserves a different video for me to be able to explain them properly instead of just fitting all of it in this video, which is kind of impossible because there's a lot of things you can do with OBS, and this is basically just the beginner's guide for the settings even, and it didn't even tackle the scene sources in depth with the transform and stuff. But yeah, I do make those videos actually, like bit by bit. I already made some videos about how you can make your mic sound better. I actually made a lot of videos about that, but yeah, I'm gonna make more about OBS to help you guys with some effects. And if you do have some questions though, I am more than willing to answer them on the comment section below. But I guess for now I'll be ending this video, and don't you forget to hit that subscribe button, to hit that notification bell, like and share, share it with your friends. You may help a friend or two, and even me for sharing. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I would see you all in my next video.